फर्स्ट चैप्टर दैट इज लोकेटिंग प्लेसेस ऑन द अर्थ। इसका मतलब है कि हम धरती पे कौन सी जगह कहाँ है इसे लोकेट करेंगे। सो स्टूडेंट्स, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट इज मैप्स। वी यूज मैप्स टू लोकेट प्लेसेस ऑन द अर्थ। मैप इज बेसिकली अ पिक्चर दैट shows where a particular thing is located. So it is like a treasure hunt game. So for example, if you're looking for a treasure, you'll use a map to reach that treasure. So that is a map. So now students, to make map, there are various components that are used to make map. And before that, let's understand what are the different types of maps. So students, there are 3 types of maps. The first one is a thematic map. That means a particular theme based map. For example, you're trying to show rainfall or population in a particular region, that will be shown using a thematic map. Secondly, students, there is a political map that shows different state boundaries, country boundaries. Then students, we have a physical map. Physical map means showing physical features on the earth. That means your mountains, your river valleys, etc. are being shown on the map. So now, there are different components to a map. Again students, there are 3 different components to a map. The first component is direction, that tells us where a particular thing is located. So to show direction, we use this compass, which is north, east, south and west. These are the 4 cardinal directions. Then students, there are also intermediate directions. So these are the intermediate direction. The distance between north and east would be considered as northeast. Similarly, this will be southeast, southwest and northwest. So this compass we use whenever we go on field to locate anything. Then student, there are distance. The second component is distance. Now students, for example, if you want to understand how much this space is spread over to the land, we will use this distance. So it's basically a scale. That shows 1 kilometer on ground is maybe 1 centimeter on map. We cannot make a very huge map. So we have to concise it to a very small portion. So therefore, we might say that 1 centimeter on map maybe is 100 kilometers on ground, or it's maybe 50 kilometers on ground. Okay. So direction and distance. Then students, the third component is symbols. Symbols is basically something that makes our maps beautiful and attractive. We don't want our maps to be full of words, full of content. We want it to be very beautiful and attractive. Let's look at an example. So for example, students, these are our 2 maps. Okay, so this map I have written water, tree, mountain, again water, and these are grasses. So this is one map. On the other hand, we have map which shows water, then we have trees, and similarly we will show mountains. Which one is more beautiful? This one or this one? Of course, the map on the right is more beautiful. This map is something which is very small, which is very concise, and this map is something that is very attractive, very beautiful. So we all want symbols on the map. So there are different symbols for which are fixed by the Survey of India. So for example, trees are always represented in green color. Then the water, the ponds, the lakes, everything is represented using the blue color. Then the settlements where human resides are being mapped as red color. Okay. So now students, mapping on the earth. If you look into your textbooks, there are 2 different concepts. Why mapping on the earth is important? We map on the earth so that we can find out where a particular thing is present. Okay. So our earth is not a flat surface, it's a globe, it's a sphere, right? And when you represent sphere on a flat surface, we make maps. Okay, so now there are 2 things. First, we have to understand these coordinates. We understood the directions, now we have to understand the coordinates, how to locate a particular thing. North, east, south, west is universal thing. We want to understand at which particular point this particular place is located. So for example, if I'm sitting in Delhi and I want to locate Paris, I have to know where this particular place is. So we have to understand the system of coordinates that makes our world, that we represent on a map. So to determine this, there are 2 concepts, students. It is latitude and longitude. These are the 2 things, latitude and longitude.